Ahaya Adom TV 4 minutes after 8. Yan come on na yahyehyɛ ase a sa. Edi kan ba wo the road ya kyerɛ sɛ ene ebenya a special guest na yetimi na twetwe nkomo. Komodo do na abegina NDC amanyuku na anamontu a wonu tu akɔ atifi mantem. And then ebrebe ma ya di Ghana so ho nkomo kakra. It's very very important say obajebre na watibi. But as we count down echinada and so yes sectorial debate na the bro no ebraso I say every 2 weeks biano yeah the bro and various political parties no key amongst them the NDC and then MPP one initiative on various sectors for us on the boom konta editor last 2 weeks it was the energy sector and era jinapo and the bigina mama NDC but unfortunately MPP and me amba and they area community kando nimjan for ranking member of parliament for Dwaboso and afi obejinama NDC and then Dr. Nsiasari aban kasama for eba apomuden nsema ono so eba bejinama the MPP from 6 to 10:30 obi ebe che na nisrade hu no owi a nwumeku ahodo a wo apomuden hu nkomodie no nurses pharmacists doctors midwives one akanyina no bubusa question na fe obi ade nchiremu ediaba you can't miss this one so as a countdown to that no Ghana Medical Association for etimnyomudi nkomo stronko bi baba menka o say one of the beautiful women in Ghana politics oko aniampo for page abon say o begin up so na tadi wi kwade ekuno she's a lawyer and she's a politician and she's a member of the NDC wabeka so men kan di ncho e koba na madane di echo ba o follow we page wa the pictures near all over say na ni bidi eye enkomo mamenchia na mema Dr. Solomon Akwaba Dr. Akwaba
yo mejo so
mejidi se o ho ye
nyame adom ene umpa bonti me ho ye
oh good boko mate se munyina makobutu kumase a wo bedi nkomo sonko bi kra okay, good. Oh, good. But William said, "Nami admit na yanzu ye din komo for apomuden wunsem." Now, once you are a general secretary for the association of medical doctors, no, me jidi say ehun be hia say ye betimi agye wasemi hia ana amadwen kire say de be akina dwumadi no say mo antimi antenam kwa na ebetimi de mo kosen we etimi ama empanyfo a ebeba de edi kan asembusa no se edien na momu susue mu no ohaw kese pa ema yapomuden nkita wodi ene yenkomo no
yo me da say me chew chief won so ya from Ghana Medical Association identify nyama pi ewo ho a ye hu ne say key priority areas ewo healthcare ba ko ene asem a ye ka ho asem yi a sika asem a wo apomuden ho wo ye manyimu ohwa health financing ade a ehia yie pa because sika uyifi wa enye yie na me ye sure say utie airways so na utie timamfo asem a ya omo kana ebi ti say ambulance tenia ubetua ambulance o fuel ebe answer na edi ubefi baby a o akọ another facility and sometimes even in an emergency hospitals also complaining about sika mantem enfi national health insurance even though say nansia the improvement abemudie ebi nso ne sikasem echo in terms of patients at mobile hospital, the indirect cost. For example, a car befa alcohol because Ghana ni yare anya ne nkwa ne yare. Ono ne busuafo ne yare because obeko no obi kan ho baby obetena ni obedi ni obeto. That sika no indirect cost no so e wo so. ADH no so no about infrastructure, health infrastructure. Potokasem say the healthcare must be delivered as close as possible to the people. One, to reduce their cost and also to ensure, say, in tentum, since somebody took quite a cofa, you still are no agenda 111 koso ebebua na so eno means of all our health infrastructure problems. Yeah, old hospitals are sebi bubua ebikra no sebi omuni the necessary logistics are umbetimi dia ye dwuma esese omoye. And as I said, all these hospitals need to be revamped. Uko kolebua there are issues. Uko konfanoche nansia ote machine ayedi radiotherapy. Cancer treatment for konfanoche since last year October in Juma. There are some efforts to replace that, but that's even only two places in Ghana and yes, it is almost machines na break it down sana. There's only one other place private and only one also was so in terms of be recurrences. So health infrastructure is a big issue, area that we also are concerned about. Beyond that too, one of our key areas we think government should look at, because in Pempini, healthcare as charity work, and I say one a year man for. But healthcare industry industry so etimidi sika bebre ebre omai no. Ghana Osha in the sub-region, with all our problems the health sector is still very good and respected in the sub-region. And bebre from Nigeria, Liberia, many of the sub-regions, French-speaking countries bebre eba Ghana nebe omo procedure surgeries ni ebeje treatment omunya. And say it means investing into health infrastructure, the right infrastructure, then we can look at healthcare tourism as a way of also attracting foreign currency into the country. Another core area, the human resource and training. Agenda 111 yes, hospitals be say charge any area. Hospitals now and your money hospital never say area. Nipa be ye hu adwuma, e be ye mu adwuma. And it's important they're looking at how to train the right cadre of staff to man these places and provide quality health care to the people. Now, you see infrastructure, now say you can answer no be training specialists, a yamre, answer no be training nurse, I'll be operating theater nurse, and now say specialist pediatric nurse. And now say laboratory professional, it takes some time. And by now there should be a clear plan in place to train them. And then yes, you train your mokwa, you train your monswa. Edian academia ne more the bay juma. And which so den a bay more omni begisa ombetinaho aye juma. That is attraction and retention, because the healthcare is an essential service. How we treat healthcare should be treated right. The nurse need to Ghana, not what you are to kitu iskasi be sabi you or you 20-30 years kwana or no anasa here and any day or better to mukano untimi. And I said doctor to her. Now say near which you know or dream one or 2.6 hours could pay UK. Abruche my Nia obeje ashasie kwa no specialist na consultant e woga na kwa no busumi miensa nkosi ya no kwa no wonje na so hwe ono an tibiemu a emrabia nchechire ne se ontina Ghana nti wo hwe obekọ entini na nsia no watia bebre eko including specialists and consultants ebi mo okra omo nkwani specialist or more the whole region and a whole district na so no omoko. And these are key areas say government should focus on. I see. Look at to ensure that your health sector, your permitting home okay, financing and mechanic, but maintaining especially sustainable financing for ambulance service. Is very, very, very important, because no idea bit me affect you be a sebi. The Wunya accident, I'm sure who beat me a penny, and so Sabreno, will be a cranimo. And say, I'm sure I'm my ye ama the ordinary Ghanaian. Ube a penny puno, a do some rena, Ubi a crane who say, what, not acquire too late. It's very important that you be sustainable financing. You discusses as some weapon. You can about how to look at the road fund and put a percentage into that. You cancel about looking at other options like private health insurance, any private insurance, I bet you a certain percentage into such a fund. You cancel about how, for example, people who are fined for offenses, road traffic offenses, part of the money goes into that fund to support ambulance service. They say, a mind bit is a pull and others, or my say you say, when accident to insurance, I won't need you ambulance befa free if it be our acco. In fact, so come and on a quiet to meet the work for free. I bet me I send you my way, I bet me about the sector.
Okay, so Dr. Richard Solomon, key points in here infrastructure and then issues about motivation and then sustainability in terms of financing matters related to health. Training. Okay, so question is, some of these policies are buying after buying the Guakwemu, what was it, matters with infrastructure. So far, Obaka says still we are not yet there too. On this NHIS sustainability, Obaka says efficiency and reliability, ensure that you are so let us understand it well because Seoka said maybe eniho anase wo ho ana ho ko eniho yie ama manfo free hoko Ghana air kwa manane and also many other things are. What really do we do to stop some of these things?
Well, often it's a health insurance. Say yeah. Health insurance is a very important intervention. Abain aye. Now, abain we look at government as Ghana Medical Association. Say MPPO, NDCO, HFAO. Yenim say abain. And abain biya ababia yen ya famudie. Yenim said some periods it improves, but yenim say there's more that can be done. Ebini say yes, I just say. National health insurance levy yet to know. We need to separate it from the consolidated fund. So our fund no sikako rema and you know per se it should be separated. And I mrano so mrano say yet sikana within I think 30 days it should be paid into the National Health Insurance Fund. And you know, person says can be fra other sikano na fan koko na so oma kape says sikano ye person use a kape na ring fence the National Health Insurance levy na deduct no emfa ensho. They should also look at the tariffs and making them realistic nature say and no complaints then say Omo render service no so adwin say the cost involved in rendering some of the services, some of the services like surgeries, especially, it's insurance etiano a yellow. And you know, do na if you almost charge patients to make up for the difference. Yenim say mremuno enye. Na so sebi yen kanche akola say enye nso ewo abonten so won kire the baby a sebi onko junso enya say ehye no ho cha enya de obegin so egu baby enti no say ye tua realistic tariffs area eno no na wodi mra ye adwuma na eno so atop nia ehye say ye den eto na there's also the conversation about co-payment mpempini ye mpese ye beti because sometimes politically, you know, it's difficult for government to take such a decision. But healthcare is expensive. Maybe a way so no. Nyama other countries insurance and they have allowed co-payments. Co-payment also allows for some gatekeeping. Into you can say maybe say open so treat you malaria, Menshia Hospital and district hospital be na say hono ubetua be just 50 cedis. Now, so open so copy GDR, ubetua maybe 500 cedis. A bit more motivating Menchiano, almost sign Menchiano and copio G exactly for malaria. And no suntino G so ebenya time, more time to attend to the kind of specialized cases they were set up to treat and do more research into the advanced type of treatments that can be done. Into co-payments, we can look at it. Take a deeper look into it. Now, the idea is to me adopt and because Debbie, maybe one you ahunchimu kakra asam oman say nipa betimi yi kakra boa na se be boa oman na we should look at it.
Dr. Richard Salome, I'm brilliant because you've raised a lot of critical points. Your conversation is, you're talking like a real doctor. And the politicians, yes, you simply don't understand the political calculations. Realistic prices in times like this. I remember when the former president talked about paying realistic prices for our services, and also another issue altogether. But the reality is now on all of us to think through some of these suggestions out there about problem because you can consolidated one na man so about yenti a fund that is specifically for a ya pomuden homes nyoma engofa inchinua bia amra. Maybe that's why Munshemu Kumasi no alternative for financing in the health sector. I'm sure. So these frustrations now you are looking elsewhere to see something that can be done financially to sustain these challenges are more picking up and say a buy after a buy air drag in the feet. Medase Dr. Salome, unfortunately, Edbesia na Onyame Adom amuko Kumasi ne ba will engage the Ghana Medical Association on your own. Now, if you move from questions, you know, some production team no. Na yenya brainstorm musa era can donate Dr. Insiasai Nyame Adom echna. But thank you so much for your time and we wish you well on your entire team. 20 minutes after 8, Joyce Muktari Bawa, I am a guest, and pay say clearly it's a conversation around NDC and then Ghana and Yadibro and pay loads of messages. In fact, the first one is a surprise visit to all of us. Hey, how come? How come? 7 and counting months. I've not been here. So clearly, it's so good. But at the tail end, or rebuke me, my friend, why? Timidase for your time and your questions. Joyce Akwaba.
Good morning.
Bibia come.
Bibia boko.
Bibia namne kwanso. NDC mushi nyoma kama.
Oh yes,
ready for takeover.
We are very, very ready to administer this country for and on behalf of the good people of Ghana. I'm saying, "Nene, I'm in church. I'm winning." Meaning, say, me feel no, yeah, yeah. You know, but I feel, I say, me, yeah,
good.
As we communicate, we grow into it, and of course, you become more comfortable. You know, communicating in cheers.
I'm interested. The NDC is ready to take over.
Oh, we are ready to serve the good people of Ghana more than just a mere takeover. It is a reason why we are inviting all of you to join us as we launch formally the campaign for change on this, in the next few days, Saturday.
That's Saturday, Tamale.
Yes, in Tamale, in the heart of the northern region. Ghana's fastest growing metropolis will be receiving the NDC, all lovers of the NDC, friends of the NDC, and of course the good people of Ghana to join us as we launch very formally the campaign for change in 2024.
Change in 2024.
Yes.
In such or 2024.
Aye.
Why? And I can't remember why.
Papa na me say. Me tie ni oma Dr. Salome kra e kan ho e wo program isu sesia. E ma me hu say e ade a e wo say ye nyina e gitumu say it is time for us to reform things. It is time say ye be reset button e wo Ghana ha. A time say be rescue krum ha a free nkofo currently wo power mu. Unim say talk is very cheap. Now me kai say prior to 2016 election no. Unim say it was an election that we worked very hard for, but na nye easy. Now you were very crippling power crisis. Now unim say sa opposition no at the time the Mahama court 9 months, that's almost a year into his term. Now election petition he egusu. Until it made things a bit very tight for us. Now, Professor Mills so ofimuna and chair cry. Until things were very tough at the time. Now, me say, sa campaign that led to sa elections, sa omudieno, they really beat us. What you say? The whole of the media, everybody was struggling under the enormity of sa power crisis. Na nye easy cry. Now, me say, 7 years down the line, utie nkomo ayetie. Now we see allegations of corruption, thievery, plain theft, and yet no responsibility is taken whatsoever. eno na ye ya adwen pa so we a citizen who share headlines and na permit na just a cursory look at some headlines in na a church mu say it is time for a reset of our country. But it is time for us to seek solace in a new administration, to seek support in a new administration, to seek comfort in a new administration. Apart from that, your campaign, we dubbed it, Let's Build Ghana Together. The idea, your free bia say, omombe so ya name, ni engineer ye, say ni ya election no, ya me ya Adom ko in our interest, so that na.
Okay. So Joyce, I think one of the major issues they play out this time here. How do we thrust or entrust political power to either MPP or NDC? Because Obika, I don't know about. I said the yakan wasem na the guswa bribia da yakan wasem. Now the NDC is saying that they have the capacity now, very ready to govern with us. How do we trust these words? Say, and yet the normal political talks that yakan over years. You stated 7.5 years of MPP in opposition, and your market, you admit that they beat you to the game. So, how do we trust? Say, enquire, ebeye we, ebebana fear in Chimufraba, ebeye we, ebebana in Chimufraba, ebeye we, ebebana in Chimufraba.
Mami put way in a very, very good and succinct way. Say, unim say NDC, right from 2008, ye manifesto scribe to abonti. Nipa say then People's Manifesto. Who kai 2016 election I endino. The manifesto I judged our manifesto at the time as the most responsive to Ghana's immediate needs. People-centered. And we also had a very transformative agenda. Sure, the World Bank had actually clearly indicated say and share infrastructure in terms of health, roads, housing, a idea will struggle to attain full middle income status. Until when the NDC arrived, no, they came in with a plan. Says, we be ye economy, ni say ne be jina year. Look at your infrastructure. So we be share education, ne jina say ne open no. Look at your infrastructure. Say be share say ne be jina amadum so idea of the past.
Infrastructure.
Look into the future. Infrastructure.
Just like the doctor said, excellent. Infrastructure.
We share health. Now you wanted to make an improvement. Look to your infrastructure. Me say, the fact that we know what we need is not in doubt. The commitment level is now where we are, and that is the conversation that we are looking forward to have. On whose side is there demonstrated commitment? It is certainly on the side of the NDC. Take the history of all your public universities, for example. All of them, since Nkrumah, the additions were done by the NDC. There must be a good reason why, as social democrats, we look at infrastructure as a key component of development. You know, look, there were many things that actually, literally, created this huge misrepresentation of facts in the system. I think that in 7 years, there's been some validation. There's also been some level of vindication. But the question I want to pose to you today is that why would you not trust the NDC rather than the MPP? Because listen, if you look at all the key indicators that indicate that the government in power, for example, is doing a good job, what are the things we look for? We look at our settler.
Sure, what's it to them?
No.
Any baby breathing in any was it to them?
When say baby there, which I say, but it will affect everybody or impact on the same day. We share what's it now. We share Ghana Statistical Service. Or more research or more debate 200 say 1.9 million young people are what? Unemployed. Send the say NDC neka. We share 1.9 at least 60% of them are what? They are women. For the first time in your history, Bank of Ghana started some Chesika, who can say minority in parliament, led a very keen debate against this attitude of the central bank. They were told that it was fake news, it was a lie, there was a lot of propaganda.
But that was the reality.
In the end, that was the reality. 50 billion was lost by the Bank of Ghana.
But it goes to suggest that we are in bad times. And
even then, in the course even of the pandemic, okay, what happened? We received inflows of well over 60 billion. So far, none of it, not a dime, has been accounted for. But in the last how many years? Still, you have COVID levy. Now, what you have COVID levy, now we change Dr. Selo Mekaya. And now Mekano, she was certain, let to above for change. Because if you are talking about trust, then better you trust the NDC than the MPP.
Okay, so that's a good point. But the other point is that walk around the streets and then especially the New Patriotic Party make say, na yekwa na mo puyi dia, just check the alternative. Edien ana osesa ahonchira ba Ghana for ese mutwe mu firi ahonchire mu. Edien hihye anansusuye ana no so di tudwa ka say, okay, ye wo sika no dollar no 43 no akọ 15.5. Hey, there be you wo say inyuma no kwa nipa enye nyuma titru mabu no kwa na ekoso edien na aban dia to eche se obeso ya se o mabu no obenya adwuma ye ho se adwuma fo no tia no mo che tia o makatua won se almost every facet of your adwuma bibia show e won it won. So if the alternative is very ready for us and they have the capacity, what are the alternatives for us?
What is the best response to your question this morning? So corruption no. So corruption thing I bankrupt in mid-year review, we now owe how much? 742 billion. Mind-boggling. With absolutely nothing to show. Agenda 111 cry this soon, say, ye COVID levy, ediako CC. Say, and Ukraine ready. 7 years down the line. Foreign exchange, it was a huge partisan conversation prior to them coming into power. Today the dollar is 16 cedis and going ahead. Me say, if we can cut down on stealing, corruption, procurement maladies that are actually currently destroying our economy.
Because you're a lawyer. It will come allegations. Because you wake up every day, the papers is filled.
Every day, full headlines,
corruption,
headlines. Yes. But and reality is that perception and reality sometimes is a very thin line between them. How have they defended the allegations so far?
Malo, we make us say, "Hey, na nse mo nyina no kwa, ana court no."
Na say National Cathedral 339 million. And this is what they've told us. Me and you, we haven't gone in to see Sesikano Potisen or Mudies. We still was our project. 339, my brother. What in Sika? Yes, Nkola Omutia, tertiary institutions for accommodation. Many we are university, now Senate hostels and to augment public services. True or false?
That's
now
true.
Senate hostels, it was also a secure investment for your mammy, pensions, or more Senate. And then what do you see? Student tertiary institutions, 10,000.
But you're unable to relate those times to this time. And that's the sound.
And I make sure someone say, now, who share campaign promises say, now and then this is where we are. Should you even ask why you need a change? It is obvious. It is apparent.
It can't be.
It is very obvious.
But it is when you have something convincing on table.
Oh, me see, we have everything. We have everything. Yes. Allegations. Yes.
Nipa no pese obeyi saa nyoma no free hono edie na odi gine mo se
na me kire mu no se o saa nipa no ana saa party no omo mfa mo 339 million enko share cathedral with nothing to show would defie say mo building is see now without any good reason now ye be building ni na demolished it without due process to construct the national cathedral, and 7 years later it is just merely a hole, a pit.
You are going to check on those things.
Wow, you ought to. You must. She's a special prosecutor. What was the pomp and pageantry that greeted that announcement as a policy initiative of the New Patriotic Party? And the special prosecutor, Juma Ben Wayamau, would say, Saijuma no Poti has exhibited any commitment to fighting corruption. Under John Mahama, there were investigations even by people in the media, and all of you were on the bandwagon. Why are you not doing the same now and putting this administration to street? Me say, if you were going to put the spotlight on SAR government like you did to the former administration, they would have collapsed by now.
So you think we have failed in putting the spotlight on
them? You have tried. You have made an effort. But you see, the elephant is a huge animal that destroys everything in its way.
The elephant?
Yes. Completely. Try to criticize them, they muzzle you. Try to defend something, they muzzle you. Emergency Omokan Wasemi. Have you heard the new allegations about ambulance parts? No. Even the mere mention of the president's daughter. Shut your eyes for a minute. There was an NDC person whose daughter had been mentioned. You will be running helter-skelter. My brother, there's also a system that reports fairly, that reports equitably, that also relies even on allegations to determine just what the reality is. So if you had $11.9 million as advance mobilization for Palugu Dam, that is non-existent, Should you allow your vice president to be going around even and promising phones on credit basis for 10 cedis a month? Certainly not. See, where there is fairness, we must not even have these conversations. If Mr. Mahama can cut down corruption alone by half, the waste, Mr. Mahama, what is what private jet, 80,000 euros that? What is the minister Akachi or Mr. Mahama needs to shower and change in the skies on the floor of Parliament, the largest democratic platform we have as a people? Certainly not. When you look at the conversations around PDS, that compact was negotiated by Mills and Mahama. If that compact had succeeded when we left office, one can come on power outages in Granka, embassy. And so nepotism, self-interest in tea. PDS lost $12 million and saw nothing, went nowhere, and Ghanaians benefited nothing. Add the cost of these things I've mentioned alone. Millions of dollars, not cedis.
Do we observe this when we are in opposition and you're thinking right and genuine and so appropriate that it's like, no, this is so fantastic. Joyce Ika there. Clearly Oba. You know, I want to understand because fantastic submissions. I can't run away. The viewer cannot run away from the realities that you are speaking to. That is happening. But why is it that we are man more opposition kama say? You talk about track record. You talk about happenings in the John Mahama administration, structure, infrastructure. That's quite true. But the question is, so how have we arrived at this point? In your time, matters about infrastructure, health, matters about the effectiveness of health insurance, matters about school buildings, matters about workers' welfare, matters about our dollar ratings. Because normally when we raise issues about dollar, me catch them who say the country itself has not laid that foundation to ensure, say, and your man is against foreign currencies. No, you too one among.
We are okay, and I make sure you say, give credit where credit is due. What was it Mr. Mahama was telling you? That the reason why at the time we went to the IMF to seek policy credibility was largely because Ghana's economy was largely import dependent. True or false?
That's correct.
That basic things that we could even afford here, we were importing. And hence there was enormous pressure on what? On the exchange rates, etc. What was it Mr. Mahama thought we should do? Let's improve on transportation infrastructure. And you heard the medical doctor that there are many people who come here for health tourism. So we were investing in what? Improving on health facilities. That hospital in the Ashanti region, for example, if when the new government came in, my brother, they had seen to the completion of that facility, $339 million has been spent on an non-existent cathedral, would have completed that project for the use in that northern sector. Why would Otumfuo be asking his citizens and Ghanaians to help him develop and improve upon Komfanoche Teaching Hospital when we have a government that has wasted 11.9 million on an non-existent dam? You see, let's be very honest with ourselves. If we have a new leader who works largely with all of us together to fight even corruption alone, there will be a lot of money left. If we actually work on even going ahead to investigate all these allegations, because you see, sometimes when you hear an allegation, 1 week, 2 weeks, you don't hear a response. What happens? It collapses. Where are the government agencies that used to do all these investigations? Raj, Ioko, or in fact, now we even have an officer
forgive me this one. These agencies, they don't work when governments are in power. Is that when government exit
they were
power?
Working when the NDC was in power, working very hard.
Not entirely correct.
They were working when Manasseh took that issue, now sounding very ridiculous even to my ears, to Shraj. All of you were on that bandwagon, you understand? When he tried to do it recently, what happened? And I noticed that these days it's always a watered down thing or NDC, this MP. Look, don't muddy the waters.
No, it's not true. We cannot compare that. Let's
not muddy the waters. Yeah. Look, from the first inception of the first investigation of this party about cash for seats, for example, how did it end? When they invited the Honorable Finance Minister and told him that he was doing a very poor job, what happened? When transaction advisory services were all going to data bank and we thought there was a huge conflict of interest situation, what happened? When we had situations where Parliament itself had reason to invite the Minister of Finance to tell us why monies paid into the consolidated fund were not being used for purpose. What did we say? Today, the doctor has confirmed it. that the minute the funds that come directed for and goes in there, it disappears. Those are the monies they are wasting on personal interest, on family and friends, on nepotism, on sweetheart deals. Where are all those lawyers who were singing those days about sweetheart deals? Look at the quantum of those sweetheart deals at the time compared to what we have now. Huge sums of money, millions. I didn't even know Ghana had such money. $34 million for ambulance parts.
Yet
when you don't even have
yet to be established.
But an allegation that so
yet
far,
to be established.
Over 72 hours later, there's been not a sound. And this is from the Auditor General's report, government's own Auditor General. This is not from an NDC kitchen or an NDC cabinet. No. I say day in, day out. On the sticks they used to beat the NDC, if we apply the same beatings to them, they will have no mouths even to go out and campaign. They are choking on 33.9 million cedis. They are choking on 60 billion COVID funds and more because we are still paying the COVID fund. They are choking on NHIL that is remaining unpaid and now even capped. Get fund capped. ESLA that was set up by Mahama for future projects capped. Road fund that was set up by an act of parliament. A minister just walked into the house and said he had cancelled it to use the facilities for what?
Now you've been in government before. The minister on this old so much cannot, you know.
But he did.
But you know
but
that.
He did.
But you know clearly that.
But at least he dared to do it. That should tell you the effrontery, the disrespect, the audacity. Because you see, they believe that they can. Why not? But for social media, where do you think the opposition's voice will be by now? We fought very hard to convince the public that this administration was corrupt, morbidly corrupt.
I see. If you've just joined, 41 minutes after 8, 9 pepe called Mula break no about Joyce Muktari Bawa.
Oh, that is Joyce Bauer. Muktari is the marital name, so it's Joyce Bauer.
Joyce Bauer?
Yes, it's Joyce Bauer.
Joyce Bauer.
Yes,
okay, so Joyce Bauer Muktari.
Yes, please.
Good, thank you. To Joyce Bauer.
Yes, everybody knows. Yes, Joyce B.
Special,
yes.
Joyce B.
Yes.
Special guest. But you say, we are getting into what they have for us, and then we'll talk about the tamale at the tail end of our discussion. So maybe you can say, well, whom all the weaknesses in this administration. That's perfect. That's fantastic. Okay. And then and so maybe 1 or 2, 3, 4 be may throw at her. Then she tries to explain to us. Then we will get to other areas. So Joyce, we are back with the conversation.
Yes,
once we've identified the challenges this administration is bringing and continues to bring on us, that's unbearable.
Yep.
What do you think you offer in relation to 24-hour, in relation to National Apprenticeship Scheme, the big push, and then regulating the front of Okada drivers? These are quickly what comes to mind when I think about the NDC. So, for instance, if you pick the big push, what is the big push?
Well, the big push is actually 10 billion investment, which will be coming largely from the private sector in various bilateral agreements. What we need to do is to look at investing largely in the private sector. Today, interest rates are the highest ever at over 34%. And this is a basic conservative government estimate. The reality is worse. Secondly, inflation is at over 54%. So the reality of it is also worse. Try going as a private person in business or entrepreneur to go and access funds. You'll be shocked.
To call private business man also compare with
now say they'll be on compare with
the big push.
Big push would come and actually free that space. 10 billion is a lot of money. It's not $10 billion. It's cedis that we have not expended on a non-existent Kalugu Dam, that we have not expended on a non-existent National Cathedral. We will ensure that this goes to the private sector.
But when you see this go, I'm easy.
Na me yenisika na untie sika mo bobo.
And so now say nyame waduma wo be correct the office.
Who started with even investigations the money will come. Mrs. Nancy donor countries behind first can buy biomo. There is no trust for Ghana anyway.
Because of the AE.
Because of the AE. Koshe local government support funds want to say finance minister can say support even for the mid-year budget. Can you know what is say minister be able to support her mother? Because I know the obiaji to say Ghana budget no here support. But now say obiya in farm baby.
The big push no capture all these things.
It will certainly capture. It will give some relief to the private sector.
We are sure that the money will come.
Oh, certainly. And you see, if we don't drive this full industrialization thing, so I must say, each region will receive a mechanized agric center. Wouldn't say these were things we had started. Baku was in the Upper East region. One was located between the Northeast and then, of course, the current Savannah regions. Imagine that those projects that come because it will have irrigation, it will have mechanized offices where you have equipment, it will have the fertilizers and all of that. And government agents, appointees are exporting fertilizer out of Ghana.
Lawyer.
These allegations they also. Yes. Look, beyond what we see. Bebre. And as I said, me obika semfa to us, say democracy. So when you say nyampa.
No, you are not them.
Thank you. Now say what is obi na no bibia. Ade omo je to say we say na can nyampa na. I know that is a fact. Second, they wouldn't say Ghana ha agri can drive everything. I'm mama. They were raised on a rice farm. Who called them Mangua? One of the first dams I see was a private one that was built by ni papa. Nti omo mutia say ni agri can propel us to the next level. So that is not ono ankasa said that's all he does as a private thing. What I say, nti it is very important. Imagine maize, imagine rice. Rice mills oja here ewo northern region, Savannah. Do you know that they never touch them? Yes, Avnash is a great example. Omo pay exim funds, their supporters are rice mill. Omo be pay factory na ye share na butter. Kotie small investment that they were looking for money. In Ghana exim bank Samahama Jayen, Sikani nyina wo. Ghana infrastructure fund aye jaye, Sikani nyina wo. Esla aye jaye, Sikani nyina wo. Me see so, even the heritage fund ekakakakra me obwa me ne wo Ghana. Amukofa musaka eno so. Nti me see private sector there, it will drive agric. It will drive business. So
basically the big push did
yes, absolutely, immediately. First. Secondly, size of government. Size of government is one of the reasons we are seeing this level of corruption. Over 120 ministers and counting. And still making new appointments, even in the dying embers of the government. And no, what is so half? Say you say no so so half. Thank you. First. Then you can even better manage, you can better supervise, you can better monitor. Wouldn't say smaller governments also ensure efficiency because there aren't so many hands lying around and doing absolutely nothing. So that is part of it. We are very important.
So what if you didn't watch you and they said there be size of government, be there's one
120 a year and counting that they be we send the they saying in the one for swanka, yesika semen me senate. Say many we say fuel like you can say you can casa. Lorry first, they be call up, they be you bet you understand. They be when him say, between no and I want you to understand. This is a matter on the hearts of every Ghanaian. 34 million citizens. So look at the opulence of the ruling government. Look at the opulence, vote buying schemes. Just because we want to remain in. Why do you think they are so desperate to stay in power? We've seen transitions under this Fourth Republic.
Maybe they want to control their good works.
Which good works?
The
on
agenda,
corruption alone, they failed. Completely. Mr. Mahama has assured us of one thing. Mr. Mahama, he's not a wicked person, which I said. Naturally, he's a very affable person. A genuinely decent gentleman.
That's what your people say is a weakness in his political career.
No, but that has been one of his strongest. Me, you know what? I take enormous inspiration from Mr. Mahama. He's not a burdensome boss. He's not an overbearing boss. He's not a greedy boss. And the best part, Mahama doesn't think. And this morning we have an interview. And I was very amused when I saw that he said, he named a few of us and said, bring your responses to these questions. That is Mr. Mahama. Very fair-minded, just. And today, most of people in the media will tell you, they miss that style of governance. Give and take. Live and let live. That is the principle underpinning democracy.
I see. So, at the end, you can't say, 24 hours you cry more by no
I know I need propaganda.
Propaganda.
Oh, how propaganda are they? One of their flagship projects by now party no your money ND IMF. Omo anka chere me ne wo say e-levy bar ebeye roads ebe boama see hospitals ebe the game changer and the e-levy ne wo he. One minister for finance.
The way you fought the e-levy no drag my man to be
thank you.
And I'm
go and investigate Sika Omudi to roam around those town hall meetings, bribing everybody, paying kickbacks. Oh, and then I said, Sika we are there. When they leave office, you see the full length of the snake. If the official rate is 742 billion, ask yourself what else you don't know about.
The 24-hour day is here.
It is simple. When you say private sector for baby, our biggest challenge is access to funding. It's a big issue. Share obi wo in the business. Ope say see us for 24 hours. The inti onye say unisika to run it. But in me producing more export to the Obenya market. What I say, Ghana has a year. Can you imagine say if we even export by renkwa? Ye kuya for da. When you say most of the things we are going, the reason I didn't say they are smuggling them out because we are not structured in our export-driven projects. Now, Shejuma Greek logistics chainway. Beyond transportation, there's land acquisition, there's land preparation, there's chemicals for farms, there's fertilizer and other inputs to safeguard the security of farms. Above all, safety is also an issue. Chef Basses Mufia Echo Upper West, Echo Upper is Nyoma. They suffer from hijackers, armed robberies on the highways. The roads are not lit. The roads are not in good condition. There are no security barriers and checkpoints because numbers no. Now, who gives a space in these security services? Interior Minister Baba Kache say, or the police for the mass slots for only MPs to fill out.
They've been okay.
Oh, didn't you hear them how the minority took them on recently?
But it came out that was not the reality.
Oh, how? That was the reality. It's because they were caught. Oh, yes. I said the elephant is a huge animal. Oh, yes. I'm telling you, the minute you catch them, they'll come back with a new story. Look how we suffered even to convince you people that they were a corrupt administration. It took us years. The only good thing was that we never relented on that fight. Otherwise, genuinely, who will be having this conversation today? When we told you that the whole thing about the National Cathedral was fake and just propaganda because they wanted to do what? To glorify one human being. You thought we were joking. What has happened? Ghana Architects Association crab a church and say nipa bako nko ejuma. Ntinka ejuma no ko obi ahwa. Thank you. My students catch me now and say, Auntie Joyce, you know what I love about this concept of a 24-hour economy? I said, what is it? I say, imagine somebody has a job available. They wake up in the morning, they have no electricity. Now we have a time of use. And the AGI told us that the biggest cost to productivity in fact manufacturing is what? Electricity. So now when you go to bed at night, we would then pass on this extra electricity to them. You heard our minister that now what? We are exporting what? Electricity. If not for the fact that Mr. Mahama left and thought ahead of his time that Doomso would need new infrastructure for us to prevent. Do you think today you'll be exporting power and collecting the foreign exchange? Ghana gas alone saves us $300 million now in gas imports. Look at the jobs it creates. I've heard that nepotism to say bed any breakfast.
You've heard it.
So don't be, from the grapevine. You know, so the reality is probably even worse. So this 24-hour economy, my brother, it's a game changer.
I see.
Why do you think the gas stations are closing now? In the past, they used to open till 12. Maybe we were school. Now trade fair and go home.
But my mom say demand driven.
I'm American.
Look, when there's no demand, why are you going to
provide the service and see if demand will not follow? Cities were built because you provided something and a village grew around it. That is how, look, economics has two curves. There's one that goes up, one that comes, and the one that meets in the middle. We all went to school, we read economics for a while. When Uncle Parkway told all of us that this was textbook economics, you people thought it was a lie. Today, why are they not delivering the lectures? Please, ask him to come and deliver a lecture for you.
He wants a debate.
With who? Because he has nothing else to offer.
I saw your release. I was surprised.
Let him come to you and debate you.
No.
You like this, your questions that you have 300 questions.
No.
Even on the investigation from the...
No, but I saw your release.
Of course. In 2020, when they didn't debate, did they not win? In 2016, when they didn't debate, did they not win?
But
who called them to street proof? But you and I know that some are there. Debate there, the man who cry. Me cry can debate about me for free. If you want, let's bet.
What?
Yes, let's bet. Oh, why? She was sitting the camper. As I'm speaking, you can tell that I'm not lying. If I've told one lie or said anything that is fake, tell me. You see, it is also the convictions with which we defend issues. It is the approach to the defense.
Joyce B.
Yes, on corruption alone, the level of stealing and graft, barefaced thievery in the face of barefaced lies. If this government were in Kenya, they would have collapsed by now. Look, even reputationally, Ghana beyond aid, what Ibium? After the so that they be a legacy once a meka. Baumia is now part of that legacy. So if you go and carry him, you've carried Akufo-Addo.
Ghana is on the digitalization.
Complete decline.
No, we are digitalizing.
Me see, the first people to consider Ghana in terms of automation, anything ICT, was Mills Mahama. It is incontrovertible.
Ghana card is everywhere now.
Oh, please, Ghana card, when it started, this is where it started from. Is it not a whole debate
so
mooted by all our leaders?
You not thank this administration?
Oh, my brother, did you see the joke yesterday? That if you are broke, take your Ghana card to the ATM and remove money.
But say no dear, any question is so common because you took one. Me
a lawyer. Most young lawyers don't remember what Cocoa Affairs used to look like. Justice Honyanungo and now Ote Opuni case no so I feel call retirement. Now the court to see Oto.
Oh baby, you do so.
We grew up around the same time. Excellent. Sa e-justice project no na Professor Mills come so pa na John Mahama complete here. And then we call court her. Don't you feel proud?
Very good.
Meeting now say now the airdrop, the court processor, mommy. Now say court clerks, what you want to say?
But that's a plus for your administration. It doesn't mean that there's no improvement now.
Please, so if there's an improvement, don't make it an event.
Oh,
it's a process.
So
that calls for no celebration whatsoever.
Wow.
Yes, democracy is a what? It's a continuum. That's what the 1992 Constitution gives us. Me, I'm not one of those. As I said, I can debate anybody who is ready.
So you can debate.
I won't even let my boss cry.
You can debate.
No. Why? He said that he was going to improve on foreign exchange rates. He had worked at the Bank of Ghana, and he knew where the money was.
So you can debate the aid to the
ready now, because mine is truthfulness.
But don't behave like your friends in Parliament when the marriage said they can start the debate now. You are not ready.
Why not? Ready to do what? I say Showa Setina Etuaba. What am I ready to say? Look, put all the stories that you people were singing about in terms of corruption, even under Mills Mahama administration. You know, it fills my heart with enormous humility when I think about those things. The figures even at the time. And what effort did Mr. Mahama put in? In some cases, ministers resigned. In some cases, look, to the most difficult part of his person, even to start prosecutions against some of your people, to tell everybody that, look, I'm doing my very best to fight corruption, but it's an inhuman institution. And so you will still have these challenges. Who actually sympathized or empathized with him at the time? Today you have a clearing agent.
When?
Anana Akufo-Addo.
Joyce B.
Boss, let me ask you a question. Can you imagine send me? No, wait. Shut your eyes for a minute. Send me more by me fear $200,000. I want me pass here. Baby, me, I don't want to pretend.
Yeah.
Just shut your eyes for a minute, oh. Hey! MPP.
There be 1 million.
1 million quite does me. 1 million who be that? Me say me check. Me say 200,000. Say me fear cry be who says can you imagine what will be happening today?
All right.
Oh my brother, you see, look. Empa de dawa yenka.
No credit dawa.
Yenka. Me say me.
So you have a problem with the letter that the president wrote about Cecilia Dapa, saying that I know you.
He was setting the tone. You know,
I know you.
The words,
it's like John Mahama saying, I know Joyce.
But he knows he won't find that kind of money under my bed. So when he says he knows me for my credibility and my trustworthiness. And that I work very hard. And that I'm a good lawyer, I'm a good student. I'm a good political advocate. I'm a good activist. I'm a feminist. And that I won't cross a certain line.
So the I know Joyce is different from I know...
Depending on who is saying it. But if you say, I know you, and I go to your room and find all this money, then what is it you knew about me?
Okay, so you have a Kumula breakup, but because Joyce is really off. But on the 4th of October,
I made you laugh on this one.
On the 4th of October, you're ready to debate Dr. Gideon Waku.
Oh, I said, when you have truth, you can debate anybody. Yes, I'll just bring a list, one lecture of his boss and all the things he said.
Are you
and
sure?
Look, my brother, let me say something. You know, there's something that disturbs my heart. Disrespect. I saw a headline, and I hope it is not the case, that our current vice president even said that Mr. Mahama's policy was empty and that it was from an empty barrel. Oh. I pray it is not true, yes.
No, that is when? Just recently?
I saw it this morning.
No, let us be careful about
No, I'll share it with you. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned Gideon.
Yeah,
Look, let's all be very careful the things we promote.
Inferring Gideon saying that?
No, they are inferring it to the flag bearer.
No.
I hope it is. I pray
that's an unfair
I've seen
comment.
it. I said I hope it is not true. I'll show it to you when I'm leaving here. I have it on my phone. I hope and pray that it's not true. Look, if we are going to open our mouths
that one
and start barefaced insults,
straight away.
You know, the reason why I take exception to these things is because you remember prior to 2016, Madam Samira was insulting John Mahama freely. Anyhow. And nobody put her to straight.
I'm not sure your person even allows that we should go that way.
In fact, my mouth will be heavy to say that about
exactly. So let's believe.
And Madam Lodina will not even dream.
So let's hope that there's one.
So let's hope that it's not true. Yes, because this time, if the insults come, they will run away and leave their slippers.
Joyce.
Yes, they promised everything. Oh, at least I have nothing to show, but at least I have credibility.
Okay, so Nyami had mentioned Anasan Komo the sectorial debate here, the so the NDC, the MPP, Dr. Nsiasari, Kobnam Intakando, Nyamian for Jaboso Member of Parliament, ranking member on health, Anasan Komo the Bebro Nyami Adoma Echna. But Heidi Joyce B and the one say Joyce Bauer and the one say we've had almost 45 minutes of Ghana conversation, but the big reason for being here, they say the party and a potential government in waiting. Nami admechna mudi juma shonko memenda mudi juma shonko tifi mantem. Now Joyce na botena churchly mu yie because ibi wo because anase match muju media se da adna fe no official mo be lunch we anyway nti specifics there na ebe cost Nami admechna wo honum na he for na ebe power mo ntuma and what will be the message and what will be the instructions thereof.
Well, William said the message is very, very simple. Yeah, we've always been focused on an issues-based campaign. Now, when Mr. Mahama started the listening tour, he went around the country, all 16 regions, of course, sampling views from everybody. They were not even necessarily NDC or MPP per se, but just everybody. Would say associations no cry. It was the same engagement. Ever too, some media press conference, which was fantastic and very, very successful. Me who say when him say propaganda, any fake news I yedi abeto ye krum has a see I yedi yejumanti. Eto de bia will lead a coca sem cry. And then it gets muddied even in the waters and gets lost. Inti any platform will be to elevate the conversation, to put out your policies for the general good, for the wider good. It's always a great opportunity. Now, who opposition, as I said, that's for the elephant. It destroys everything in its way. Inti. You must also create platforms that serve your purpose. And we went through all of that. We are done. So we dubbed it, let's build Ghana together tour. So a culmination of it will be what we are going to be doing in Tamale on Saturday, the 27th. We aim to start at 12 p.m. to be at the Tamale Police Park. We are hoping that all the rank and file, our foot soldiers in particular, because they have sustained us through their donations, through their prayers, through their activism, their advocacy, their support for John Mahama, and of course, Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman. You know, my brother, we have a safe pair of hands, a credible pair of hands, a set that is going to deliver on everything that they say they are going to deliver, not the noise. You know, I keep saying, why? We all know empty barrels are the ones who scream and squeak and make noise all the time, dance out of sync, literally jabbing every day, because if they don't even mention Mr. Mahama's name, then they have no message. If they don't compete with Mr. Mahama, they have no message. In any case, look, why do you even want to reduce your campaign to one of insults? As I say, as for our vice president, he's not even fit for purpose. He shouldn't even open his mouth because he was taken as a non-card-bearing member of the New Patriotic Party. We didn't say it. His then boss said it and told us why he went for him. His own wife told us that her husband was a whiz kid. Beyond what we see and what we've heard on the economy having collapsed, what else has he delivered? And then he tells what that 22 reasons why he should be made what? Our leader. Really? Just 22? We have 34 million Ghanaians. So even if you're looking in terms of averages, so what? He's only done one small thing that affects just one person per region or what? I don't even understand. You know, look, my brother, let's stop nitpicking. Mr. Mahama and Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman are a safe pair of hands. Patriotic citizens, nationalistic individuals, all their lives, they've lived in public service, working in service of humanity generally and to the good people of Ghana. Nothing beats the grace, honor, and accomplishments of Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman to this ticket. And nothing beats John Mahama, who today everybody will tell you, oh, this man was a listening man. He was a gentleman, acts with enormous decorum, such a strong-hearted person, one who could withstand all the attacks and even live to tell the story. We need a certain resilience also in our leaders. And we need leaders who love Ghana and love Ghana passionately.
It will campaign, it will take you from right after Tamale, big ones.
Oh, they be, say, and say, you know, May I sure say MPP crowd they've almost say campaign season ewo kroma. Wouldn't say we set a standard. Look at over the last years, even in opposition. Sure NDC brand no. Why you understand? We say Mbano, we are not very loud in theater. You don't see the stoicism or the resilience of the women in our party. Check from the days of Dr. Mary Grant, listen there. She was the first female doctor.
Better name.
Yes, absolutely. Great, fantastic women. What I say, people who were honored to serve government. People who came with decency to serve government. From PNDC right through. You know, there's no situation that is perfect. But there's a situation also that breeds trust. A brand that tells you that this is a group that is ready to serve.
There's a woman in India, I don't know whether she said, Emma.
Yes, Emma Michelle. Yeah. Lovely woman, fantastic woman. Then we had, there was another medical doctor, very lovely, very graceful woman. Then we had our own Professor Christina Makunyama, a scientist par excellence. May her soul rest in peace, anti-Shariahity, who was a decorated chemist from Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Look, we have some amazing examples as a political party. Old, young, middle, is a whole potpourri of the young and the old. Look at Otobi Kwachi today. Great asset to our party.
Still young.
And still looking very, very young. Even in his 60s, you understand. A lot of energy, a lot of support for young people. They are the reasons why we are today the political activists that we are, because they took their time to educate us, to teach us. And we learn at the very best fit, because our boss himself leads with enormous grace and decorum. What you will see on Saturday is a fully poised NDC, National Democratic Congress, with all of our executive, members of parliament, party elders, the rank and file, each and every one of us. And indeed, even some friends from other political parties who will be joining us in Tamale. We are launching in a very formal way. Mr. Mahama will repeat his people-centered policies for Ghana. What is it that will help us tackle unemployment? It is a 24-hour economy. It is going to be a government public-private partnership of a kind never ever tried before. And like I say, when you are in doubt, try something new, try something fresh. When you and I go abroad and get those holiday jobs, we close from work, we are not scared for our lives. We pick up a bus at 1 a.m.
We are on
and we
to
go
the next
home.
one.
Absolutely.
We move.
We move. We go and do security jobs. A few days ago, I was with my cousin, and he was telling the kids that, you know, he used to work in a restaurant and he loved it. Because the best part was when they finish and you go downstairs and you are going to do the dishes. You know, the art of cleaning the dishes before you put in the dishwasher. I mean, this is a very wealthy guy. And he was telling his kids they should go out there and get holiday jobs. Good examples that we also still give to the next generation. It is not all bad. Look at the cost of data in Ghana. Today, most of our young people who have no jobs, they are employed largely because of social media. You go to Instagram, young, amazing
advertising their products.
All sorts of products. You go to the campuses today, young kids in school, and that is how they pay for their education even. So there is something to be achieved if we are able to work to lower data. Not to go and tell people you are giving them 10 cedis, and when you have no decent job, no sustainable salary. By the time I became a deputy minister, I was head of the department. I'd been working for nearly how many years? Yes, I may have finished school very early, but that is the truth. That is the reason why I think I am who I am today. Because I can compare what it is like in private life and in public life. So we must start to look at leaders who offer us an opportunity to develop. And I think that is what Nana Jane and John Mahama offer. Look at Nana's life as an individual. Her whole life, educating, tutoring, nurturing, empowering other people's children, including her own. This must be an example that we want to leave for younger generations of women and girls out there.
Okay.
So this is the pair that you'll be seeing.
Okay.
Launching very formally the campaign to reset Ghana, fight corruption, cut the size of government, cut back on nepotism, work on deal on conflict of interest situations, strengthen governance institutions to be sure that they are not just working to the beck and call of one individual, that they are working for everybody. And you see, once you have a new government in place, you know, the chips will fall in place.
It comes with a certain enthusiasm,
a certain readiness, a certain freshness. And the best part is that we are going to win resoundingly, so there can be no debate about who won the election.
53?
Whatever it is, we are winning hands down.
51?
Whatever it is, we are winning hands down.
50 plus 1?
Whatever it is, we are winning hands down. All we want to do is to reset the button. And I ask the good people of Ghana, if you want a people-centered manifesto, you want a people-centered leadership, credible, trustworthy, leaders whose spouses will not go out and be insulting people whose shoes they cannot even walk in.
Exactly.
That is the example.
Maybe 2 quick ones before we say bye-bye to our viewers. One, is the NDC worried about the judiciary?
You know, because I am a lawyer, sometimes I struggle to, discuss things that border on the judiciary, etc. But let me tell you something that I know for a fact. Public perception regarding the judiciary is at an all-time low. It's not an NDC's perception. That is a fact. You heard about the tapes and the recordings that were subject of press conferences recently in the trial of our minority leader, Honorable Atofosa. You know, my brother, sometimes it's not what we see as politicians. It's what the general public perceives. You understand? I know that for a very long time, since the ANASA videos or revelations, for example, the judiciary has struggled. Struggled. Even though they meet their own magistrates and justices and tell them we have to increase our performance so that, people see us differently and the public must have trust in us. How do they conduct themselves in some circumstances, for example? These are the things that feed into the perception of the Afrobarometer, Ghana Integrity Initiative, and all of these things.
So bottom line perception.
Bottom line perception more than sometimes the reality. But note also that in that whole English quagmire, perception and reality are usually bedfellows.
Women's Bank.
Absolute fantastic idea. I am a small entrepreneur. I know what it costs for a young female entrepreneur to just be looking for 10,000 Ghana cedis to buy shea butter to start a business. I know what it costs for a young girl using internet facilities to try and start a small business on TikTok, for example. Data is expensive, way too high. I know of a young woman who just wants a small amount of money to improve upon her poultry farm and struggles to find the money. My mother runs a small preschool, so I know. I know what young women who want to start businesses are going through. So why not? Do you know how much it costs for transaction advisory fees when you want to go and secure a loan from a normal bank? And I'm sure you heard how much SNIT paid a transaction advisor, $491,000. It's in ink, signed by both parties. So if you put that amount of money into a women's bank, for example, where women come and look, I say something about my cooperative. Women never owe. Look, even when they are late, they'll send a text. They'll call you, yes. When they send the fabrics on STC, they will send me a text or call me. Look, I have one of them who doesn't read or write. So when her husband is home, that's when she sends me messages. But she will make sure that she reaches you. Look, the fact that women have enormous integrity is also data-driven. It's research-based. And I'm sure you heard in Ethiopia when the president decided to have a 50% cabinet. He said it. Exactly. That when women mean to do a job, they do it and do it well. Joyce B, if you come and Ghana for but for your information, yes. Almost 39 messages about my personal phones. Give us for lectures almost give me a day. I'll give you 81. You've done well. I've become an ambassador for all women in politics. Yes, yes. So I do my politics with enormous humility. And then after 7 years, my baby, who said, we are the same JBR. I may say, I'm asking everybody in all humility, it is time for us to change our leadership. Time for us to vote out the New Patriotic Party. Time for us to join John Mahama and Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman as they build the Ghana that all of us will be proud of. Mr. Mahama is a man of very few words. He's not a man who likes large, flowery language. He's not a man who has any opulence at heart. Very simple, affable, modest gentleman. And so is Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman. True patriots who have lived all their lives in Ghana, lived by example, led by example, empowered even the non-voiceless people that we have in our society. I ask all of you to look at me and to listen to what I'm saying, that we thank God that He's brought us this far. Years ago, we didn't even know that today we'll be having this conversation. But today, the National Democratic Congress stands tall, so attractive that every young person wants to be associated with this great party of ours. Join us as we seek for change with John Mahama 2024. I thank you, and may God bless each and every one of us. For jobs, decent jobs, sustainable jobs, vote for a man who believes in the big push agenda that will drive industrialization and increased interest in the 24-hour economy. We have tried everything to fight unemployment, to fight corruption. Let's do it differently this time. Do it with John Dramani Mahama.
Joyce B. Bedasi P. Say also your tools are frail. Short notice biology bread and by and she's delivered on behalf of the NDC. So I'm sure say oh yeah, voter, you take a decision on the conversation that we've had. This is how our opese, Miss Me Pese, Idi and Komo near the Coco Rabat to Bushum in December. Now Kotuaba. Intimacy would be at them Penmo and Asa Quada, who can say man send Fata Fafa, you go back or Abushabako. You're mindful that a man yourself anyone say a papa in time you couldn't pepper so well, I mean, I'm train. I mean, I'd mention a sectorial debate. That's what to apomidi in common.
No, but I like that idea, sectorial debate. I like it.
Thank you
very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.